between these two teams, it's actually kind of interesting. We had 2 Cassiopeias yesterday. Both of them are these mid laners. Envy and Nosferos were the 2 who whipped out the Cassiopeias. So we're used to seeing the support pinch. I wonder if we see a Cassiopeia focus between these two teams.
It would be an interesting move into this mid lane that has been quite consolidated to the Aries, the Annies, you know, a Galio here and there, but the Cassio was definitely a spanner in the works, and it could be contested by both of these mid laners, but it's the K'Sante first, so back onto usual business in the top side, and that Aphelios has been left open. Red happy to pick it up.
Yeah, Zeri not banned as well, Trajan, and I feel a need to mention that considering we just saw how potent Zeri can be as well. Yuumi is off the table, but you can still pair her with the likes of Lulu, who is also open. We mentioned all the support focuses. Well, one of them's up, one of the big AD carries is up, and INTZ, you have to pick up the litter. They go with Xayah instead, who, don't get me wrong, safe AD carry, can try and match the Aphelios, but okay, this makes more sense. I was going to say, by herself isn't the best. Together, though, stronger.
Yeah, I think this is pretty much the only time where I would expect to see the Xayah right now, when there are just so many other high-performing AD carries on this patch. Nia onto the Rakan, a pick they are very comfortable on, so it is, as we kind of, it's usual picks for INTZ, and now we'll see if this is enough for them to make an impact versus Red, who do have so much power in that early game. We touched on it briefly, that they are able to just kind of snowball you in that laning phase, with the Lulu being hovered right now, kind of a foregone conclusion. This pairing is just too strong to give away.
Yeah, and as we mentioned, it's the last sort of OP support enchanter still left open. Frosty has shown a willingness to play the sort of enchanters backpack on No-Yo yesterday to great effect. Allowed Titan to pop off and really carry that game, which got a lot closer than it should have been. Now, Red still looking for their jungler and their top laner, and I'm almost curious to see which they pick first, because they already know the K'Sante is going to be in that top lane for ZZK, so FNB could counter right away and keep counter jungle for Aegis, but Aegis isn't known as that hyper-aggressive invade style jungler. He's a very utility-based jungler, which just helps the team really, facilitates the team to be the best they can be.
Yeah, exactly. He's a very important part of that roster, but yeah, not necessarily known to be opting into the crazy 1 versus 1s. We'll see, maybe he wants to go down that route here today. It's a different focus on either side, in that I'm not going to even address that until I get locked in, but it's red focus from Red, it's mid focus from Red, and it's top focus on INTZ. They clearly have an idea of where those powerful lanes are going to be in the second rotation, and I'm trying to find, you know, just ways of not talking about this pick, RMC, because I don't want to believe.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there it is.
It's got to be the Wukong. I mean, both Yampi and Aegis played Wukong yesterday as well. It's one of those 2 sort of contested picks. Talking about those contested picks, Cassiopeia was banned by Red because they already picked the Annie. They're aware they don't want to get pinched, and the 100% presence Ari has also been removed off the board. So Nosferos, who has a very wide champion pool, will have to pick something a little bit different. I'm curious to see if we do see the assassins that Nosferos was once known for. You know, the things like the Cassidon, or more recently like the Vex that he has piloted in the last couple of splits.
Yeah, I apologize to everyone earlier in this analyst desk. I was so excited to talk about Nosferos, I forgot to unmute. I just wanted to get stuck in with this player so quickly. This is someone that I have been keeping a close eye on over the last split, especially. We start to see real progress out of this guy, and Envy did not have the hottest start yesterday on day 1, so perhaps there is an angle for Nosferos to make his name known a little bit. I doubt we'll be seeing the LeBlanc here today. It's Volibear up in the jungle for Yumpy, and there's the Gragas in mid once again.
I am so saturated. They are playing with our hearts. I was all down for Kane for Aegis, who, you know, some say that the most attractive emo player here in Brazil. On emo boy Kane, that would have been a perfect match. And LeBlanc for Nosferos would have been beautiful. Unfortunately, gonna get neither. FNB with the last pick, Jax, however, I'm baited again. Trajan, I'm baited again. And the others I can live with. But this one, I really would have much more preferred to see the Jax into the K'Sante. Sion as a tank is not going to have quite as good a laning, and K'Sante can bully out tanks. He can be tanky on his own, and he's just it feels like he's got more impactful ultimates with that all-out where you can just remove a player, even the Sion, if need be.
ZZK was surprisingly good on that day 1, you know, performed, I would say, a little bit above expectations after a somewhat lackluster split 1, but, you know, FNB also came pretty hot into this split. The end of split 1 was not so good for this strongest of top laners that we've seen such excellence out of in the past. He was kind of slumping a little bit, but he's come back and fired up into split 2, and then this matchup between him and ZZK, yes, it is Sion versus K'Sante, but I want to see if ZZK can actually break him open, since he does look like he's ready to play right now.
one thing we didn't touch on too much, Trajan, there was the Volibear, which is a little bit unusual in the current meta. I've actually seen him a couple of times in solo queue already. I think he's pretty decent, but not something we see too much of in the current meta. And it reminds me of Yampi back when he was on Liberty, when he last looked amazing. And you know who's a fan of that Liberty, Trajan?
Me.
Okay, fair enough. I was actually referring to Dia, who I know was super happy about. Dia, your thoughts on this Volibear pick? Any at all?
I like the Volibear pick a lot, and mainly I like it because it's paired with two other big, beefy champions. The draft plan from INTZ seems to be, well, we've already got Ninja Kiwi safe, let's just make them all the safer, throw the front line at red and see what happens. I don't mind it at all, RMC.
Yeah,
this Dia guy was alright.
And actually, I was just going to say, too, like, Trajan, you were talking to us before we came on stream, and you were talking about Ninja Kiwi and what he needs to do, and I feel like this is the perfect setup for you to finish the point I think that you were trying to make earlier.
Yeah, for sure. This is a guy that just exploded onto the scene from that Renska debut and took the bot lane by storm. We just haven't quite seen him return to that level before. Hopefully this game can be his return to that form.
Time to see if he can do it. We're jumping onto Summoner's Rift. See if Ninja Kiwi can rise to the occasion. See if Red can close this one out in less than 40 minutes. RMC, it's time to find out.
Well, hopefully. Actually, do we want a 40-minute banger, Trajan? I feel like, on one hand, I want a 40-minute banger, but on the other hand, a 40-minute banger would mean a lot of chaos and a lot of things went wrong and right for these teams.
Brother, I could always go a 40-minute banger in the CBLOL, man. We do bangers like nobody else, let me tell you. You're all in for a treat if it goes past that mark once again. But I am going to say that, you know, we joke about Red and the somewhat sloppiness as Envy does manage to sidestep that engage by Nia, but this was not what we expected to see from Red after that strong early they have. They are now getting aggressive at level 1 once again. ZK gonna take a bit of Calibrum damage from Titan.
I don't know what's in the water today for CBLOL, but this is the second top laner we've seen in the bot lane jungle at level 1. Out of their natural habitat.
We're not taking normal lane assignments here today. We're flipping the map upside down. We'll see if that can go a little better. They are going to peel back just now, so a little bit less craziness of the red Canids here, looking to try and get back to those title-winning ways that 4x4 so wonderfully told us about on those intro videos. But, you know, just to continue on that point, Red should have been able to close that game, right? They should have been able to have a smoother success after that strong early and mid, and the fact that they didn't does raise some of those questions.
Yeah, I mean, you take on Envy, you take on FNB, two of supposedly the best laners, individual players over from Furia, who popped off in a lot of their wins towards the end of last season. And then what happens in your debut game? Hold up, Frosty? Frosty should be fine. Okay, yes, we get to talk about what happens in the debut game. Titan has to do the bulk of the carrying. The man did 49.3% of the team's damage. The whole point of taking Envy and FNB on was that Titan wouldn't have to do half the team's damage anymore.
Yeah, we went back to old ways pretty quickly for Red right there, and it did get them the win at the end of the day. And there's a reason why Red has been the Titan show for a little while. It's because the guy's a little bit cracked at the old game of League of Legends, and they are taking control of this bot lane right now. They hit the level 2 first. They have lost the heal on Frosty already, though, from stepping too far forward. Yampi might be around the corner.
And let's not forget what Volibear's ganks used to be like. He runs at you, he stuns you, and you're in trouble. Flash is available.
Comes, goes straight for Frosty, the heal-less Lulu, and that's a first blood, just like that.
Well, Red, I think, has forgotten how Volibear ganks go. They knew Yampi was in the area, and the ward was there. They just didn't respect what a Volibear can do to you. Now, the flash is down from Yampi, but they've already got the kill, and next time I expect Nia to be the one, or, well, Nia did flash for it this time as well, but I expect to see Nia continue to be the one setting up Yampi for these bot lane ganks.
Frosty did at least hold on to his flash as well. Maybe just figured that it was not worth it. Maybe didn't have the pinpoint reaction. So we'll still have that escape tool if it is required. And now Aegis will be looking to come and turn the tide round here. But Ninja Kiwi and Nia are going to give them the respect. The wave's still coming into their tower.
Yeah, and Ninja Kiwi, Nia, as you said, playing respectfully, they're okay with just sitting on the turret as long as Yampi isn't there. Ninja Kiwi has played against Titan before and knows that this is a laner he has to respect. We've talked about Brunsey, you know, being sometimes hailed as like the new hotness, the new AD carry. Let's not forget Titan has been there the longest. Like, we used to call them Crash Cadets, right? The red roster that was young with Grevthar, with Vigo. Titan is now the probably most experienced AD carry left in CBLOL actively playing right now. So that's
it's
kind
crazy
of
to say. Yeah, like when he comes across as the same just like hot-headed, braggadocious kid. And Ninja Kiwi almost tagged under the tower. Frosty looks but cannot find the kill. And the respect definitely still needs to be given. Titan's ready to lay a smackdown on bot right now.
There was nothing about Precocious Kid right there!
Oh, Frosty, the rookie support gets in, flashes in aggressively for the kill. Aegis round the corner, secure this 1 versus 3. Nia goes for the knockup, will find it, but no kills to be found back. 2 for Owen bot lane.
Trajan, Titan ain't no Precocious Kid no more. That's Frosty, right there, flashing in with the Lulu. You love to see it. This aggressive support style, and a lot of times, unfortunately, in Brazil, if that was a Nautilus, if that was a Rakan, I believe 100% CBLOL they go. But CBLOL support enchanters sometimes sit back a little bit in lane. Frosty's showing that, no, you don't have to do that. We can still bring the CBLOL depth even with enchanters. We just need the right AD carry to set us up.
Yeah, there's a lot of big personalities, a lot of egos on this Red Canids side. Frosty looks a little out of place as the rookie coming in here, but he is clearly ready to step up with the big boys, ready to get stuck in himself.
Yeah, and that's a delicate balance. We heard Rafa and Takeshi earlier in the interview with yourself and Rutu talking about the big voices on Red. And we were thinking FNB, Envy, Titan. Throw Frosty to that list, and somehow they've got to balance it. On day one, it didn't feel like they're quite together yet. But at least in the bot lane right now, Titan and Frosty do feel like a very seasoned duo, like a duo that is clicking and working together very well.
Great start for Red in that bottom side. Onto the Dragon goes INTZ. Looks like they won't be contested. Playing the back timings very well. Giving a simple cloud to get them speeding around that jungle. Yampi with a little bit of movement speed to get on top of those opponents. We haven't seen anything else after him from that first gank. Now maybe we'll be looking to pressure onto Envy, but again, Aegis tracking him.
Yeah, well, about roughly 2 more minutes before Yampi's flash comes back up, and that's what I'm eyeing. Bot lane though, Nia, even without a jungler, is willing to go in.
We'll find that burst there, and finding any money as actually Aegis is on the receiving end of a lot of damage here. Nosferos dropping a little low from Envy. INTZ, they've got the Annie ult down already. Tibbers being that second champion, despite the fact that Aegis has retreated, pushes both the INTZ mid jungle back.
That did not feel like a 2v2 situation. That felt like a 3v2. Tibbers is flat on champion at this point of the game.
100%, making his presence known, and lasts for so long. You could see him just intimidating the bouncer in the lane, pushing back Nosferos, trying to get as much farm as he can. The Gragas, of course, is a very stable pick in this mid lane. Very hard to break open this pick, and can be super useful late game. We saw Howls get the value out of it in the last game.
Yeah, Envy roaming down with Aegis. Keep in mind, no ultimate available for Envy, so they've got to try and burst it down. And Aegis actually is only level 5, so no ultimate either yet. They call FNB, it's a full 5-man!
It's going all in for this.
Okay.
Nice slides back to the bot lane duo and won't get knocked up by FNB. A whole lot of investment by the Canids to find a kill.
You know what, FNB, he was sick of the G2 treatment where they send 4 people, so he decided to coin the bridge treatment where they send all 5 down.
Up with that one, ZZK going to be hoovering up those plates. A lot of minions just dying into that tower, and Titan is going to be sipping off the gold. It seems like they still are just investing in this guy in the bot lane.
Yeah, INTZ, they're starting to respond. ZZK, no TP, but they've called all 4 other members down to this bot lane. They're just buying time. They're just trying to make Titan take as long as possible on this turret and help ZZK, as you said, hoover up those plates. In fact, they've been so successful that Red might not actually find this turret, and this is wasted time from Red Canids here.
Yeah, with that, it only took ZZK 1 champion up top lane to get the same number of plates down. It took Red 5 champions in bot lane to get the same effect. So yeah, not loving how that's turned out for Red. Now they do still have gold onto their Aphelios. This will be strong to play through, but ZZK on the Cassante, we've seen what Cassante can do when they're unleashed in those late game fights if they've got the gold.
And Jordan, that's really interesting in the context of what you're talking about, that Ninja Kiwi, this AD carry who has had sort of a string of teams where he wasn't quite able or given the resources to pop off, and with INTZ, with ZZK and Nosferos, we thought Ninja Kiwi would get the opportunity, but it doesn't feel like it. INTZ is playing towards top lane instead to ZZK, who, by the way, second highest kill participation on day 1, 93.8%, and he's beating out supports to get that. As a top laner, that is insane. Nosferos, we mentioned earlier, tied with Crustiel for the most kills, or second most kills, pardon me, on day 1. Yeah. INTZ are just saying for now, Ninja Kiwi, we know you're good, but we're going to focus on this top side. We'll have to see if it's enough to carry them through this game.
Actually rotated the bot lane fully up to this top lane, matched by Titan and Frosty. The Herald secured by INTZ. FNB will manage to pick up that first blood gold at the end of it all. So it's kind of worked out all right for Red here. They used to have the gold where it needs to be. They've got this Herald to contend with. We'll see if Yampi can even up that gold with good value on the map.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that Red actually didn't give that gold to Titan, but I'm starting to see why. The 2v2 is so heavily in their favor. Titan's just bullying out Ninja Kiwi here.
Yeah, he's just there once again ready to punish. Nia getting aggressive on the tower. The Cyclone catches both. Metastorm is out. Can Ninja Kiwi scrape his way to safety? The double kill for Aegis as the rotations come through. Yampi now with his opposite number will take him down with ease. Nosferus trying to make the impact. Lovely cast. Bumps back the Lulu. And Yampi ready for target number 2 as Titan, low mana, doesn't have the best guns to fight. Can INTZ extend this fight? But here comes FNB, charging in from downtown, and Yampi falls in the counter kill.
The Red Express coming in hard from FNB this time. The unstoppable onslaught able to land and do damage. Nosferus is playing with fire by sticking around. This is not a tanky Gragas. And thankfully for him, Titan recognizes I'm too low on health. I don't really want none of this FNB unless he can hand serve me this kill.
Lovely rotation by the Scion down in CS, yes, but has managed to pick up bot lane turret, managed to save that top lane fight, and Red are decidedly in control of the gold at the 10-minute mark. So once again, it's not the cleanest, we can admit this, but it is still a strong start for Red, and all we need to see now is a conversion.
Yeah, and this entire fight sequence as well, this isn't some crazy macro play from Red necessarily, right? Like they rotate people up, they still kind of lost the Herald, they decided to just make this good. And it kicks off with Titan and Frosty just dominating the 2v2. They got them low, they make that dive playable. And, you know, sure, Aegis does go down, but it's okay, they've got the kills, and more importantly, they're able to get back out. And right here, INTZ, blood's in their eyes. They want these kills so badly, but even if FNB doesn't show up, I don't know they get this kill, to be honest. Like, Frosty's wild growth, he was already safe the more he popped that.
It would have been tough to make that stick under the tower as INTZ will take the consolation prize. They'll take another dragon for themselves, moving up to 2-0 as the Mountain Drake, Mountain Rift is what we have here in game number 3 as the Herald's going down in bot lane as well. Ninja Kiwi going to get some extra gold in his pocket here.
Okay, they're sending their love to that bot lane, but Trajan, I don't think this is necessarily trying to set Ninja Kiwi up for success. It's trying to stem the bleeding to make sure that Ninja Kiwi doesn't keep struggling at that. Yeah, they kind of need it. Herald goes down. That is all the gold towards, or most of the gold there, towards Ninja Kiwi now. Is it enough? And for INTZ, where do you go from here? You've done a great job collecting all the objectives at this point, but Red is finding the kills. And while objectives are better and kind of worth more, the gold cap's not even that big. The mental question comes to mind, Trajan. Is INTZ willing to try and pull the trigger on these fights when they've been losing consistently all these skirmishes?
Exactly. When they actually go toe-to-toe, they have been the ones holding the L at the end of the day. As FNB rotated into this mid lane, Aegis coming up. We saw INTZ rotate a lot of members into that top lane, but couldn't find an angle onto Titan. Frosty temporarily, though, back in base, and it still seems like INTZ, they really want to try and punish this carry. But here come the mates from Red Canids looking to punish them instead. Nia over the wall will have someone to slide to with the battle dance and gets away with his life.
Okay, I thought FNB was just gonna go charging right into that clump of members against the Scion, but Nia able to get out, and that was my concentration right there. INTZ, if they wanted to make that play, they need to get there, pull the trigger immediately. Yampi had the ultimate available, could have just turned off that turret, and if you wait around, Red are going to be able to respond. But that Red still defending that top turret with their life, Titan still farming up, and Ninja Kiwi just picked up his mythic. I've got to imagine Titan's just waiting base for his.
So if we are waiting to see if INTZ have the stones to try and step up and fight Red and try and take a bit more control of these skirmishes, is there any onus on Red to match them? Can they try and look for a place themselves? Or are they happy just scaling up and farming right now?
Oh, definitely. They have the tools. If you look at that Scion, Wukong, Annie, all these are nice, engaged champions, all of whom can pull the trigger. They're just not in a rush. Because even if you changed out your top laner and your mid laner, I've got to assume it's still Titan calling a lot of these shots. And traditionally, if Titan's calling the shots, they're waiting for his power spikes. Now that he's got a Gale Force, now is when I'd expect Red Canids to start looking for picks of their own. Not necessarily big, massive team fights, though they can look for that, and especially in 2.5 minutes when Dragon comes up, I do expect them to. But till it comes up, it's going to be all about the picks and trying to burst down targets very, very quickly.
And some of those targets for INTZ are getting a little beefy already. The double Iceborne Gauntlets on the top side of the map. In from our blue side team here. Gragas working on that Rod of Ages as well by the look of it. They are going to have a lot of health to burn through with this front line. Now, you do want gold on your superstar AD carry if you want to burn through a front line, but we'll see if it's enough when they come, you know, to throwing hands in that mid game.
Topside CZK just pressuring in and kind of able to finish up what they started. Envy not able to match Cassante. There was a rash of mid Cassantes right before MSI, or at MSI itself as well. I'm kind of glad we're not seeing it anymore, but that top lane interaction just showed us why.
Exactly, it's very, very dominant. I believe the LCK are still sprinkling a few of them here and there, but we will not be seeing it so far as Aegis full commits onto Yumpy. That beefy front on absorbing the engage, but Envy flashes in to try and get the job done. Both teams just mashing their faces into each other in the river at 15 minutes, and Red looks like they've come out on top. Titan has arrived, the Gale Force has been used, and INTZ left running for the hills.
Not gonna lie, Jaden, that was not how I expected that fight to go. We were just talking about Red looking for smaller skirmishes, trying to burst a single target down. They went face first, as you said, mashing their faces into ZZK and Yampy. Those are tanks, aren't they? But they're dead, Trajan. Somehow it worked.
You seem to be looking at Grey right now. The tankiness maybe not quite where it needs to be. That Divine Sundra for Aegis. Envy as well, coming in with the two-man ultimate. Titan arriving just at the right moment to finish those important targets. ZK now TPing on top lane to catch some farm. Here's the replay of that fight, and let's see if we can discern what the strategy is.
And I think a lot of it is also on kind of Ninja Kiwi, not able to pump out as much damage. Even with that Kraken Slayer, he's attacking non-stop, but look at how little damage FNB is taking in contrast to what ZZK and Yampy had to take. And because all that damage was on FNB, none of it was hitting the damage dealers like Aegis, Envy, Titan, and they get to just free fire there. So for INTZ, even with these tanks, this lack of gold onto Ninja Kiwi and their inability to damage FNB is going to be a huge detriment towards this mid game. If you can't get through FNB, you can't win any fights where FNB is actually present.
Exactly, it's going to be an unbreakable wall. You see the Herald dropped into the mid lane. All 10 members of the teams are hanging around the river right now. Titan hard engaged with the Brackers, but he flashes out from the explosive cast. And Aegis slips away. The clone takes the bullet for him. FNB now holding down the front line will flash to safety as well. INTZ pulling the trigger, and they get a massive advantage here.
Yeah, but they do have to be careful. No explosive cask. Red could look for the re-engage as FNB up there tanking already, and you can see he does not care that he's taking damage.
Aegis not winning the fight against Nosferos on the side. TZK dives in, and now Yampy diving forward to try and get on top of Titan, but can't make the CC stick. INTZ again unable to secure the kills. It's still a health advantage, but now Red is in position. FNB dives in, Envy finds the stun, and Gragas is the first to drop at the end of it all. TZK dives in, tries to find the carry, but just gets minced in the rest of the Red Canids. One by one, INTZ start to fall.
And it looks so easy, Trajan, for Red Canids. They make it look good, but it's not that easy. Huge props to Frosty, first of all, stymieing the engage from ZZK and Yampy. We saw that if INTZ can find the backline, like they did on Aegis' clone, they can do a lot of damage. But if they see you coming, Frosty is making life so comfortable for Titan, where Titan can just free fire, trusting that his support will keep him alive. And then FNB, Envy, you don't need teamwork. Because at that point, FNB and Envy just go, oh, you're over there, we engage, we do whatever we want. And as long as they don't kill us in 3 seconds, which, hint, spoiler, they can't, the rest of the team can just come in at their leisure.
Frosty continuing to impress in this second game, flashing in for the kills in bot lane, pulling the clutch polymorphs and the clutch lunar mechanics in the team fights. Have put Red Canids in a dominating spot here at the 18-minute mark. Now we can start to see them pushing forward. They were happy to play it safe in the early game. And now here we are with a real advantage. I'm expecting to see some fireworks, expecting to see some aggression coming out of our previous champions.
I was just laughing, Jaden, that Red, I was watching Red's map movements and like, oh, they're setting up for Baron. This is going to be beautiful. We are 18 minutes into the game. There is no Baron, Trajan.
Yeah, but they just arrived like, hang on. Whoops, we'll be back in 90. Sorry about that.
Yeah, but we're too early, guys. As a Brit, or as somebody from the UK, Trajan, I've heard your train services, your bus services, they're not on time. Because they're always late. But I guess in Brazil here, their train services come early.
Yeah, these guys are really showing us up right now. The UK trains are a bit of a joke, we can say this for sure. But, I mean, as someone from North America, you guys even have trains over there?
No, we drive everywhere. It kind of sucks. I wish we had better train systems. Well,
so Brazil's clapping us both, to be honest. Like, they've just got us both outbeat.
Well, INTZ needs some cars right now because they are not getting around fast enough to a lot of these fights.
No.
Trajan, the gold diff isn't even that big. It's actually only 3k. So on paper, INTZ should have ways to fight back. But we look at the last couple of fights, and I'm still left querying, like, how are they looking to win any of these team fights right now? ZZK, Yampi, Nostris, they can't find the back line. And you mentioned Rod of Ages for Nostris, a lot of tankiness. Nostris has completed that. The stacks are going to take so long to come in. You're sat on a tier as well. So there is no real threat onto Titan or Envy as long as Frosty is there. And 10-2, again, mental, right? INTZ, do they realize how close they are? Or do they feel right now that we can't take any fights? We've just got to sit back. And if we do, when do they really ever come alive?
It does feel like it's going to take some sort of a misstep from Titan to really put himself in a bad spot when he's got the Lulu, when he's got the disengage, the Scion to wall him off. You know, it's, as you say, a tough task for INTZ to make their way onto this all-important carry, who is once again positioned, fed, juiced up to be the win condition of this Red Canids roster. Baron is now alive, so if they do find the position, they could try and take it this time, but as we roll after that 90-second wait, INTZ are actually the ones pushing into the river.
Yeah, FNB is ready to go, though. Red is ready to rumble. And the only thing they're waiting for is for Envy to clear that wave top. Even then, there is TP. So if they want to pull the trigger, again, we said before, if you can't kill them fast enough, it doesn't matter that FNB initiates this alone.
Envy doesn't even want to walk down. He TP's hard in. Titan with the Crescendo Severin, perfect team fighting tools. A just looking for an angle, but showing some restraint here. FNB absorbing so much punishment, but he's still over half HP.
Trajan, that counting the background was me tracking how long FNB was in there. That was 10.5 seconds. FNB lost 40% of his health. Red wasn't even really pumping out damage. FNB is just tanking. So they can do this again for at least another 11 seconds.
That has got to be tough to see. You throw so much at it, can't make it stick. Now the fight goes. There it is, the Annie ult. Wukong ult. They found their way into the mid jungle, and Titan looking for anyone that he can click onto. Does find another kill, 2 down, make that 3, and Red Canids again, they are going to wipe the fight, they'll lose their jungler, but Titan isn't one yet, steps forward, the AD carry, cleans up the rest.
A quadra kill and another ace, Trajan. We are blessed with AD carries today. First Trigo, now Titan popping off, and Aegis dead, no jungler, no spike, no problem. Because no INTZ to even contest this one. They can go straight from here to Dragon if they wish. And Trajan, that fight, it went exactly the way we expected. A bunch of 5 players trying to stop a train does not end well.
Yep, steamrolled over them in that fight. The man's name is Titan, an insane performance of him. You can see this replay, he's just trying to get close to people. He's trying to find more people to attack.
Yeah, and track INTZ, how many of them can actually get past FNB? Him standing up there got zoned, and then Aegis and Envy, the moment they saw that, hey, they're kind of split because of MV, they just pick a side and just blew them up immediately. They're so tanky as well. That was the Gragas that went down, the Ball Bear that got pushed out. Those are the tanks. That's not Ninja Kiwi. And Ninja Kiwi's trying his bestest in the backline. He kills Aegis. Good for you. But you've got no more front line. Yeah. And Ritter's like, okay, Ninja Kiwi, we see you. And that's the problem. We see you. We catch you. You're dead.
No words from Titan there. Doesn't need to speak to the enemy team. Just look across and show them what you just did. As a Draken has been picked up by Yumpy. We're going straight into another fight, RMC. And the fight went to Titan. Lovely stasis. Gets away from the Gragas barrel. Can they finish off this carry? Can they finally take him down? Absolutely not. Titan goes legendary. And it's another big win for the Canids.
8-0-7. Yesterday, Trajan, we were saying that Titan had to carry because of FNB and Envy. This game, it's not he has to. He wants to carry. Envy wants kills, but Titan's not giving anything up. He's just taking everything. And once again, Titan is just so safe with this team. This has got to be a dream for any AD carry.
A lovely performance from Red Canids. This is much more what we wanted to see. Now, At this point yesterday, RMC, we started to see a bit of an issue, some faltering from Red Canids. Again, they are knocking at the base. They have all the tools they need. Let's see if they can show us that clean victory that we know is in there somewhere.
Okay, you know what, Jade? At the risk of casting Christian, I'm going to say this right now. I cannot imagine Red don't close this out clean in the near future. I'd be happily proven
about
wrong.
as past the cursey as it can get. Yeah, that's at the risk of doing exactly that. Let's see if INTZ can take all that curse energy you just gave them.
It's like that meme about, yeah, you know, they're up 2-0. No way they can lose, right? That's effectively Rid at this point. INTZ, they're at soul point. It doesn't even matter. Even if you get the Mountain Drake, Mountain Soul, which is normally such a powerful combat soul, where it gives you shield, it gives you resistances. All the resistances in the world ain't gonna save you from Titan. It's all about the damage right now from INTZ. Navori Quick Blades completed for Ninja Kiwi, but that's about it, right? Nosferus still hasn't been able to upgrade that tier, and ZZK, look at the second item. That's a Gargoyle Stone Plate. You're gonna live a little bit longer, maybe you don't die, but you're not killing anybody with that.
Speaking of damage, RMC, I know it's not an Ari in this game, but we've got ourselves another cheeky little Medjai
Let's
here
go.
for Envy with the Annie. He's got that, the Leandri's realized the CC utility build, but he's got a fair amount of damage. The heap on himself. His ults have been crazy so far. You can see him chunking through the Gragas. Aegis, though, has to step back. He's taken over half his HP bar, too.
Yeah, and Aegis, we've seen this a couple of times now, where Aegis drops the clone. And I don't know if INTZ knows it's the clone or just knows that they can't hit anybody else. They're just going hard on that clone.
They're just like, it's a punching bag. They're just trying to get the frustration out. Like, we gotta just see some HP guy go to 0, even if it's not the real one.
I understand, but wait, that healing, is Aegis, does Aegis have a one? Why is he healing like that? Is that the red buff healing that's so fast?
Some dark technology going on. Maybe the green jungle minion as well on farming. I'm not sure if that adds some sort of additional regeneration in the jungle camps. But either way, man is full HP again. And suddenly Tibbers will fall down to INTZ. They have held on to their inhibs as well thus far, so they don't have to deal with the super minions. But it is getting very scary for them right now. They've got to find an answer quick.
Well, how long can they hold it, Trajan? Baron buff is gone, but FNB, oh, great intercept.
That's it. Blocked up by CCK. Aegis goes in for the knock-up, but they don't have any way onto Ninja Kiwi just yet. Titan staying restrained. Reds will back away.
Trajan, that's the thing with Baron buff, right? You're using it to break the base open. Once you take that inhibitor turret, the inhibitor is often a lot easier to crack, and that's why, to me, INTZ, great. You saved your inhibitor for 1 push, 2 push, but Rid just need to kind of walk in and actually commit to it, and they'll be able to take it. Now, with that bot inhib down as well, you've got super streaming down. When Baron respawns, that inhibitor's still down. Rid can go to that, take that, and then now crack your top lane, crack your mid lane. Heck, mid lane ain't that far from drop-ins. That's some help on that turret.
The fact that they backed away their RMC at that stage, even though they had the, you know, they got such a lead for themselves, made me think maybe they're remembering day one right now. They're thinking, okay, no, let's not do that again. Let's not put the question in everyone's minds. We're going to back off. We're all good. Let's keep this one nice and clean and simple. And they are fully reset, back onto the map, heading into this topside river, but still a minute left for the Dragon and the Baron Bombs.
No, Trajan. No clean and simple. Red want that, but for INTZ, Baron's your best bet at this point. Go and fight that. I know it looks dire. You're down 8k. That's the biggest gold lead we've seen throughout this game, and it's only growing. So you got to kind of cut it off as it needs. Give Red time, and this is literally unwinnable. Baron, at least it's a Baron debuff, and you just gotta go hard. Nosfer is finally upgrading that tier to the Seraph's Embrace. This is, oh man, it's so hard to say this, Trajan. This is their power spike. They are down almost half an item to an item across the board, but this is the power spike. This is the hill you die on.
Yep, this is the time. This is the time to find that Hail Mary. Let's see this team come together. The 5 players retained on INTZ, an organization that knows how to win in the past. They've got a pretty big challenge in front of them to find the win here today, as Red will be onto this Dragon on spawn. No response from INTZ. Once you pick up that extra, the extra resistances right here. Now let's see if Red, if they want to go to the push, or if they want to do all of their due diligence and go straight to the purple worm.
They're paying for Baron, and for Red, I think either is fine. And if you want to fight under turret, that's also a little bit risky. I think the Baron on open ground is a little bit safer. And look at the vision, Trajan. That was something we talked a lot about in Game 1, not so much here in Game 3. But Red already have that pre-set up vision for all the approaches from INTZ. They don't need to finish Baron. They can use it as bait. And if they catch even 2 members of INTZ have no shot at contesting this Baron.
That's lovely. That's what you want to see. You want to see the vision line already pre-prepared before they start moving over, not just going over and thinking, now we need wards, and then you're face checking into the dark, and that's how you throw games at this point. Titan now stepping up, clearing the wave. He's got red and white once again. FMB, could he call the ult right here? Looks for the knockup. Find it on Nosferus, holds himself back.
Easy. Oh.
Aggression, oh, it's kind of hurting. They are burning him down, actually. Ninja Kiwi might be able to make this
die.
work. They've gotten the Lulu ult. The Scion will be caught. MV around the corner. Forces the ult from Ninja Kiwi, but he's down below half HP. Still, 1-0.
Lord Dominic's regard. That's what changed. I didn't catch it, but Ninja Kiwi completed his third item, and you saw the difference. FNB, for the first time this game, died. Like, literally, that's his first death.
Time he's even looked threatened, to be honest, in any of these fights. And INTZ, that is enough to slow Red down, but they're just starting it up 4v5. So let's just see if this can work for them. A 4v5, but certainly a winnable one. Down below half HP is the Baron. Yampi's too far away from the pit. They won't make it in time. INTZ, this is the time to find the fight onto Titan, but he slides the save through the Gale Force. Yampi flies in, the hammer down onto his head. They've got the stun. Can they find the kill? Titan is eliminated. Ninja Kiwi on the backside. He's picked apart as well. And now FNB back for revenge. There's no Xayah to burn through that HP bar now. And he is going to charge down for the chase. FNB slams into Yuppie. CCK running for the hills, and Red Canids, they may have lost their super carry, but they're still winning this game.
Super minions pushing in on that bot side. Actually, and he managed to go down and take a turret as well. And Nosferus, literal playing with fire against this Annie, could die. And he's just focusing the turret.
This is furthering him down, man. That's the Magi stinging away. But Nia now back with the fountain. ZCK healed up. Could they rebuff Red at this last junction? Ninja Kiwi's about to come alive. I think the Canids, they've got to wait for now.
You know, Trajan, despite the serious events going Red Canids' way, that was expected. Considering the massive gold lead they have. I give props to INTZ. They recognize that we have to fight a bird. We will do this. And they did the thing. Aegis just getting annoyed by Nia a little bit there.
And just irritating him a little bit, but Aegis, to be honest, man, still got Baron buff, clears out some vision instead, has been putting on another stellar Wukong performance. We haven't touched on him much, but this champion, again, is poised to keep the 100% win rate today.
Yeah, we've been blessed with a lot of good Wukong players in CBLOL. And Aegis, 7-2 and 12, almost the highest kill participation on this team, beat out only by Frosty, who has been bodyguarding everybody, not just Titan, but Aegis on the engage as well, has benefited a lot from Frosty. And we were just saying, Aegis kind of utility jungler, maybe not the biggest killer instinct, but I think that's only true in 1v1s. In these team fights, Aegis' killer instinct has been second to none.
He's been great at starting those engagements, getting onto the critical targets. Red now returning to the top side. Perhaps looking for a play onto ZZK. Will use the CC immunity to get himself back to the safety of his team. But Red have the Baron buff for 45 more seconds. They're making the most of it.
That's the only lane where Turks is still standing, Trajan. So, yeah, to make the most of it, like you called, it's just got to be in this top lane. They do have to be careful bot, though. Bot has a wave stacked against them, which is pushing hard. So, Red, it's not a big deal if they lose a turret, but they want to be conscious of that. And maybe as soon as Baron goes down, since they'll be back. Aegis got caught. No, that's a clone. He's way back in the back. He was almost off the screen.
He's left. He's pieced out a long while ago. Now the gold lead over 10,000 for Canids. And while this is certainly a slow conclusion to this game, it has not been what I would call sloppy. INTZ managed to desperately scrabble forward in the last fight to get a kill on Titan. Still lost that fight. Maybe now FNB has presented himself as a target, but the sign up will get him sliding away to safety.
And he just does a minimal distance too. Like, he didn't go all the way back to safety. He's just like, nah, I just need to disengage far enough that you can't tag me. Red Canids, it's not necessarily the cleanest closeout in that FNB did get caught in that mid lane, underestimating the damage from Dominic's regards, but it's a slow ending in a way because they are also not giving INTZ any opportunities to find any way back to the game. And even this Dragon takes the same thing. They're just stacking this. Could they have tried to force an end in the base? Yes, they definitely could have. But they still want another 40-minute game. So Trajan, we've got another 7 minutes to go.
Yeah, we'll see how Red can stretch this game out for 7 minutes, to be honest. There's not even that many structures left on the map to take. as they are heading down this bottom lane. Yeah, mid inhib down, no turrets on the Nexus. They could just stroll in, force a 5v5, probably win it and end the game, but they are being much more measured here in game number 2. Want to make absolutely sure that no funny business occurs. Now the TP's coming, but FNB currently in the mid lane, rotating down. This, I imagine, will be Red's final push here.
And INTZ, as you mentioned, no turrets at all. So they can't fall back. There's nothing to fall back onto. They have to find an open ground. We're seeing the Nosfer's TP behind.
He's trying to find that miracle flank to keep this game alive, but he's on vision. They know exactly where he is. A Titan just has to keep an eye on them. He has managed to get away from that ward. They're forcing forward. They're maybe going to try and get aggressive with it. Titan throws the Moonlight Vigil, catches nobody. Nosfer's is in, but Titan is well away from the rest of them. CCK flashes in, gets the knock back on Aphelios, but look at the shields, look at the heals. Can they find Aphelios again? Ninja Kiwi's done it, and somehow INTZ take Titan down once again. But it does not matter. The feathers, they sting, yes, but they cannot find the kills. And Red Canids will secure their second win.
Titan was the sacrifice, the AD carry they needed, even if it wasn't the ending Titan deserved. He sacrificed himself to soak all that damage. And Trajan, coming to this game, you said that you wanted to see Ninja Kiwi pop off, that he had to step up a little bit. After that performance, I think he did. Did he meet your standards?
There was certainly more to be seen, right? We've seen Ninja Kiwi start to come alive in a game that was somewhat stacked against him in some ways. You know, he was put very behind. Titan was incredibly fed, funneled by with the gold from Red Canids, and Ninja Kiwi was still able to keep us guessing, keep us thinking, maybe he turns this fight around. And the fact that he is able to keep us guessing all the way through to the end of that game, I think definitely says something.
Yeah, fair enough. Even that last fight, and I just kept thinking, they just have a little bit more gold. They can do it. Yeah. Even Spider-Man supporting Red out there.
He knows, man. He knows.
Neighborhood-friendly Red fan?
Neighborhood-friendly Canid, I guess?
I suppose so. I mean, there's no reason not to be. I think that looking at the way that Red played that last game, they looked really clean throughout, and you guys highlighted Titan. We talked a little bit about Envy. FNB's Sion really floored me that round, eh, RMC?
Yeah, you know, we're used to seeing FNB knock it out the park, knock people down, run people over. Yeah. This was a bit more literal, and I'm liking the look. I mean, we've criticized CBLOL at times for not being willing to play those tank tops. This is actually the first set of tanks we're seeing in CBLOL. In top lane, we've only seen, the closest thing we've seen to a tank yesterday was Cassante, but today Sion's making his return, and FNB's making it look good.
We've got the highlights from this past match, so we can take a look at how FNB and the rest of Red... I don't think it's fair to say FNB and his minions anymore like we used to, because Red's roster was looking really on the same page. You talked about it in the game, Trajan, but this, despite the slow pace of the game, wasn't sloppy, it was controlled.
Yeah, it was still very Titan focused, but Titan was ready and engaged and excited to take the lead in this game. Excited to be fed all that gold and did not waste a penny of it. The rest of Red, they drafted around this, they played around this. You mentioned FNB playing excellent tank duty, setting up Titan for success. And you can see here INTZ, they wanted to shut down Titan so much, but here comes FNB from stage right.
I feel like a lot of the highlight reel is going to be, where is FNB? Because if he's off the screen, he's about to be on it. And a lot of the early game was all about that. Later on, we saw Ninja Kiwi cutting through FNB. And that's when, you know, if you want to still call it FNB and his minions, this is Banner of Command meta. Because Titan was just shredding people through as a minion, if you want to call it that.
You know, we did see the scaling come through from Ninja Kiwi. I couldn't help but feel bad for the guy, because it felt like even once we hit the 3-item mark, he was just getting too tapped. I think I saw half his health bar disappear in one cooldown from Envy. Aegis was able to solo him, and the reality is that even on a very safe AD carry, Ninja Kiwi didn't look safe at all, Trajan.
No, from all the way through that lane, he was being pushed away from his tower, hard dive by 4 members. It was a very tough game for him, and he did make the best of a pretty tough situation. It was not enough to carry this game away, and even though INTZ, we saw in that recent fight there, they were able to catch Titan once or twice. By this point in the game, it was just too late. The rest of Red had not been slacking, and they were ready to clean up the mess.
And gents, speaking of the rest of Red, I want to highlight Frosty. on this Lulu.
Oh, yeah.
You can see flashing forward. Like, the level, oh not level 1, the kill early in the lane when Frosty flashed forward to find the kill was flashy. That caught our eye, and we were super hyped about that. But throughout a lot of these fights, Frosty was not in danger. Frosty was flashing forward to get heals, to get wild growth, to keep his team alive. And we attribute a lot of tankiness to FNB. Part of that was the shields that Frosty was putting down. We talk a lot about Titan not really getting punished. Some of those fights was because they wild growth him from 50%, and then the enemy team, INTZ, takes a look and they're like, guys, all the work we just put in, it's gone. I give up. Peace. I'm leaving because this ain't working.
Yeah. I want to bring up the match stats and take a look at what the numbers were for each side. I think the number that I wish was there, now that you've brought it up, RMC, is absolutely damage taken, because FNB would just be through the roof on that. But I'm noticing as well, you know, Volibear a little bit lower on the numbers, and that's a champion, a pick that I had some questions about coming into this game. Trajan, how do you feel the Volibear panned out?
So we got that value early on, you know, they didn't give it the respect. Clearly, maybe a little bit of sloppiness by Red not being as used to playing into it, and there was an attempt to make plays early on. Even those later fights, he was able to get onto the back line, but... So I'm not undersold on it, honestly. It seems like it has a place. In a game that was going a little bit more evenly, we certainly could have seen it do a lot more work.
Yeah, and exactly, I agree with Trajan. I think Yampy did his job on the Volibear. He went for the early ganks, he got the ganks off. I think the bigger problem was how or where those gank went. So we saw the gank into the bot lane for Ninja Kiwi. Good, great. I wanted to see him go back and back and back into that lane. Ganking ZZK doesn't do much, especially when he's going to go Gargoyle, Stoneplate, second item. Or if you're going to gank Nosferus, again, you got to hyper gank that lane to the point where Nosferus can accelerate and pick up 2 items if he's going Rod of Ages into Seraphs.
I can't help but agree. It was difficult to see the way that it panned out after the early game Volibear success, but I'm curious, after watching all of that, I think Titan made a really good argument for being our MVP. I don't know, Trajan, FNB stood out. Is there somebody else you'd like to nominate for consideration?
So, you know, RMC made sure to mention Frosty, and I'm glad that he did, because he's very much a bit of an unsung hero. You know, the Flash in at level 1 was great. We love to watch that one, but so much value in those team fights, so much of those quiet, small moments in the back of a team fight where Frosty's getting the perfect polymorph, or maybe even Envy as well, finding the right stuns, doing 34k damage in that game, building the Medjais like a giant brain. Once again, 2 Medjais, 2 wins. That's what I'm saying. And, you know, that you can't undersell that. FNB, Aegis, Titan, they're very visibly impactful, but Frosty and Envy as well put in a whole lot of work behind the scenes.
I'm sorry, Trajan, do you run a library or a bookstore? Because it's got to be one of those two.
I don't know, man. I've only got 1 book in it. It's just 10,000 copies of Medjais. I think people got bored with the story.
So many Medjais. Somebody's printing them, right? Somebody's adding the pages. And Trajan, I think we can absolutely put you down as our CBLOL shill for Medjais, because every time it's worked. It's worked so far. RMC, off the back of that game, we saw a lot of really amazing stuff from Red. And Frosty was a contentious pickup at the start of the split. Is this, I mean, great game from him. Is this the superstar support that we had expected, or is this just happens to be a good game?
I think this is 100% what we wanted to see from Frosty, because Titan handpicked this guy, and Titan's known for picking really good supports, mechanically good supports who can match him, who can enable him, and this game was everything you could hope for or dream of from a support as an AD carry. Now, Dia, Frosty looked really, really good, but I gotta say for Red, this still doesn't answer my questions of have they come together yet. To be honest, I think they just kind of smashed really, really well. Aegis enabled everybody, like he always does, such a good jungler. But then later on, some of those fights, honestly, not the cleanest, right? FNB was sat there, literally, I was counting, 10.5 seconds. He tanked, took damage. Rit did not step up to back him up whatsoever.
Yeah, we've got the MVP ready, so we'll go ahead and take a look. We had a lot to consider going into, rather out of this game, but Titan's damage numbers do speak for themselves, Trajan.
It's one of those games where I wouldn't really be mad whoever won it. You know, they all had their important part to play in this game, but Titan in those like super clutch fights, those earlier fights before the last couple, was still doing insane damage, playing them super well, taking full control of the lane with Frosty by his side. It's just the reason that this guy's the tip top of the mountain when it comes to bot lane right now. This is why performances like this.
Been around for a very long time.
And if we're praising Frosty, Titan's the guy who picked him, right? So some credit goes to Titan as well. So.